put you on this golden throne, but I'm a little stronger now. You cashed in on my promises. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. A little stronger now. You cashed in on my promises. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. 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 You cashed in on my promises. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. A little stronger now. Casting on my promises. You know I'm too generous. Now I've learned to never help you out, 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now. A little stronger now.
I wanna taste the pain. I think I'm seeing all red. 2 bullets in the gun, 1 shot to the head. I need a blank space. 'Cause everything is a threat, but I never back down. Man, I'd rather be dead. I'm making love to fate. And she look better in bed. And I'ma rock this life till I take my last breath. I wanna make a change. I got 1 life left, so I'm gonna go down swinging. Don't you forget. Everything is so boring. Can't get up in the morning. I'm so sick of the mundane and routine. I'm gonna break without warning. I wanna taste the pain. I think I'm seeing all red. 2 bullets in the gun, 1 shot to the head. I need a blank space. 'Cause everything is a threat, but I better in bed. And I'ma rock this life till I take my last breath. I wanna make a change.
Well, of course, I hit the wrong button. Hello, everybody. I liked it. I don't know if Tex, if you did that after the other song went out, or if it's just it'll go to the next song. That kind of in the beginning reminded me a little of Kid Rock in a way. I know KRISTA likes Kid Rock. So how's everybody doing? Thanks for coming on in. It's the late show, the late night show. 12 o'clock where I'm at, 11 o'clock for Tex and Brandy. I'm just going to bring up right now, by the way. I see Tex is already looking bored. He's got his fist on his cheek. Looks like Chris is staring at her phone.
Yeah, you just called me Brandy.
Well, you know, I called Chris Brandy twice the other night, and I texted you immediately on that. Yeah, I know you guys are synonymous. You're the same yet different. Love you both the same, as I always say. Yeah, you know. So how you two this evening?
Doing all right. How are you?
I'm all
Doing
right.
yeah, I'm doing all right.
Mm-hmm.
Hanging in there.
Yep.
Yeah, it was one of those days today, you guys. I said, man, I don't know if I want to do a show tonight. And of course, KRISTA said, well, I bought my Mountain Dew.
I did.
And then I sent a text. I'm going on about an hour. I'll be there. So I'm like, yeah, well, we'll go ahead and do this thing tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
People do seem to like it. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll continue on with that. And, you guys, and for everybody out there listening, we've got something right around the corner here, don't we?
We do. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, Alabama Bigfoot Conference, June 7th and 8th. The conference is the 8th. Your MC, of course, is Tex Weston. Speaker line of Barton Dunley, Daryl Denton, the Blondes and the Booze. Jason McLean, Greg Ogles, Martin Gross, and of course, BMR. Tickets $30 online, $35 at the door. That will be at the Anniston Performing Arts Center in, of course, Anniston, Alabama. Go to BamaBigfootConference.com for more details and to get your tickets online. Brought to you by Sidekicks. I like saying that. Sidekicks. So, yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. June 7th, Sizzler Grill House, Sizzler Steakhouse, something
Western
like that.
Sizzling.
Western Sizzling.
That's it.
Next year, I'm gonna have to put that in the notes. It's almost here. I'll just continue on with my dumb, not knowing where we're eating because we already got 50, 38, 40 people already got reservations. We won't turn you away, and neither will the restaurant at the door. Come on in. It's buffet style. Tex says it's really good food, and if anybody knows food, Tex has been around. He knows what's good and what's not. I was relying on Tex. Tex knows where all the great Mexican restaurants are too, by the way. I had to throw that out there. And the book, thank you for all that's bought it. You can find a link on the chat in the show notes of this show. Again, find it on Amazon. Book 2 is coming out middle of summer. Those that bought this, thanks, and leave a review when Amazon comes calling because it does help promote book sales and stuff like that. And don't forget throughout the week, Monday's Texas Front Porch, 8 o'clock to 11, starts out with the Diva Dimension, 8 to 9, then it rolls into Tex and Brandy. Next day, Tuesday, Beyond BMR with myself and KRISTA, 9 o'clock in the East. Wednesday, 9 o'clock in the East, Inhumanoids with Bart and Letitia, Brandy and KRISTA. Thursday afternoon, brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob. With Tex, usually Tex now, 1 o'clock in the East. And then Thursdays is on Texas Front Porch, Monica Rollins, Our Paranormal World. Then 9 o'clock, the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast at 9. Then on Friday, if you need more woo with the booze, you got the Blondes an hour back at 8. Blondes, the Booze, and Woos on Friday. We've been doing these Saturday shows at midnight for now. So that's midnight with who knows who joins me. It's usually Tex, Brandy, KRISTA, whoever. And then Sunday is Truth or Tinfoil. Subscribe. That's a new channel with Brandy and Randy. And then after that, Tex does his True Crime gig with Miss Diva, Infamous Minds. A great show if you're into true crime. So, yes. Everybody tuning on in. Thank you. Become a BMR Pirate if you're not already. The super chats are always open. Thanks for that. Great way to help support what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tex, I was just talking to you a little earlier backstage. I always go on YouTube Live, and I happen to find all the flooding going on in Texas. And you just pulled up the radar. You got some severe weather moving in down there.
Yeah, we got some thunder boomers coming in, going to go across us. It looks like so. But little, a lot of rain. Nothing to worry about from twirly windy situation yet. So
yeah, well, the twirly windy is what we all try to avoid. We don't get it much in Michigan. We get crappy weather, but like KRISTA, where you're at, you get the twisters as
All the
well.
time. All the time. Mm-hmm.
I never seen a tornado.
For us.
Never saw a tornado when I was in Michigan. I I was in North Chicago, just south of Wisconsin, for about 90 days or something, and did see my first twister, and it was high in the sky. I never touched down. That was scary enough to see it. It was just, oh my Lord. I mean, then I
Yeah.
watched these videos. I watched these storm chasers live
Me
too.
too.
Yeah, I could sit there for hours just watching it.
I actually watched Weather Channel. You ever watch that Weather Channel?
I
Watch
do,
these
yeah.
shows?
I watch a lot of weather stuff.
Yep.
I
do
actually
too.
do.
I do too. Because that is something that like you can't avoid, you can't fix, you can't make it go away, And I guess it's the eeriness of it.
I would love to be a storm chaser.
Mhm.
Thought about it, but I just can't take my truck out and let it beat all that hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was thinking that same thing. It's like you'd have to have a good vehicle, but one that you don't care if it gets beat up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's the double-edged sword, because I think like
Yeah.
most guys and women too, I imagine women as well. But when we buy our proud truck or whatever it is that we're into, we don't even like get that first scratch on it.
Right.
When I get a new vehicle, if I go shopping, I park like a mile away from everybody.
Yep.
And I'll walk the extra, 50 yards. Really.
Yep.
Especially like Walmart, these big shopping centers. So I'm not parking close to it.
Right. I hear you.
I've seen my share. I've been out in them. I'm kind of fascinated with storms. So, if I wasn't here on the show, I'd be up under the patio.
Right.
Oh yeah, no, I like sitting outside when it's coming in, and again, I'm addicted to the storm channels. Speaking of vehicles, before we really get into it, I watched this one guy. I forgot his name. Reed Timmer.
Yeah, I watch him too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's good. He's got the Dominator.
Yep.
Dominator, and that's a vehicle I have. I think
Yeah.
he bought some SUV and just didn't they
Fixed it all up.
they fixed it up with all the sheet metal that covers it. It's a big little box.
Yeah.
He's got the radar equipment in there, and so that's the thing to have. You wouldn't care if that got all beat to what. So
No, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
I like that.
Me too. Yeah, he's a good show to watch for sure.
And he's entertaining. He does get a little excited. It's almost like he screams. He's always screaming at his guys.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's a mega. And I'm not even yelling. And I'm like, geez, I watch it without headphones on. I watch it on TV. And so if I had headphones on, I'd go deaf.
Right. I hear you. That's funny.
So yeah, we got a few people coming on in chat. Thanks for everybody for coming in. And if you guys remember, I think it was last week when I was talking about Hellman's mayonnaise versus Duke's, and I was going to do the mayonnaise challenge.
Yeah.
I think you guys might have heard this,
Yeah.
but I found some Dukes on the shelf at Walmart, and it was dusty. Yeah, and tried it, and I'm sticking with Hellman's, but I'd tell you Dukes will be a second go-to. So,
Gotcha.
for those that were wondering, anyway, probably not. Y'all probably forgot from last week, but
I didn't.
I had to. Well, you two did. Maybe the people in chat probably like.
JoJo says, still the man.
Oh yeah. So JoJo, that's all I had to say is I found it. Yes, because I thought it was a regional thing. Couldn't find it. And somebody suggested Walmart, which I really rarely go to. It was there on the shelf. 4 bottles left, covered in dust. And I couldn't read because I said I need cheaters now. But I guess somebody told me that the expiration date was October of 2024, so that was good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm a Hellman's.
Yeah, that's still my go-to. And
hard for me to veer away.
Yeah, once you've been doing something for a long time, it's hard to move away.
Although I have to tell you, I went to Red Robin's and ate dinner yesterday. And I like mayonnaise for my fries. And their mayonnaise is good there. I don't Hellman's, however, but they have good mayonnaise there.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Well, that's good.
To say that.
Never been to a Red Robin's. I've heard pros and cons. And we're not going to talk the first 40 minutes about food like last week. We did 42 minutes. Yeah, but we all like it, and everybody loves the food. They love talking food. But,
Yep. It
so,
had to do with mayonnaise, though. That's why I said it.
yeah, I got you. Yep, I did. So I got this little. This is an encounter. That, I actually dropped a video on this earlier today, and I like getting encounters from people who live in the state of Michigan. I've gotten several throughout the years, and especially when I'm somewhat familiar with the area. And this took place in Clare County, Michigan. I'm familiar with Clare because my brother, when he first started hunting, that was his hunting grounds where he started. And then he found something else, another spot that he liked a lot better. And then he, I think in Yale, Michigan, I think it's where that is. So I got this email and it starts out, "Hey, Rob, I'm not a hunter or a fisherman." He says this spans the years from 2016 to 2021. And he says, during this time, my boys were just growing up. They were just getting into the teen level. He says by 2021, his son was 20, 18, 16, and like 14. They're all like 2 years apart. And so for the 5 years with this man and his wife, they bought property in Clare, Michigan. And again, not to hunt, but to go camping, because everybody loved going camping. So the first year, he realized right away that he should not go camping with the family during hunting season in the fall, because they'd hear nothing but shots of rifles, shotguns going off, and realized, okay, because again, not a hunter, I guess not very familiar. So they started doing their camping. They started doing it every summer now when hunting season was pretty much over. And throughout the 5-year period, he always there was always a person in Clare that owned property, because a lot of the property in Clare that are owned by folks, they own it to hunt. Okay. This guy, he had about 5 acres, he said, and he, again, did not buy it to hunt, just to camp. So he always would get once a year, twice a year, a couple people would approach him about selling his lot, his property, his acreage. And he said, well, no, this is for me and my family to go camping. Whatever. So they made him kind of feel uncomfortable, he was saying, but that's not really part of the story. It was just one of those things that, he felt weird about that. So anyway, going back to the story about, again, knew nothing about Bigfoot or anything like that. Not much of a hunter. His sons like to fish, so he kind of read up how to fish. There was a stream that would run through part of their grounds where they would fish at. And then Jim, his guy's name's Jim. And he says, the first 2 years with the family were fine. Everything went off without a hitch. He goes, starting the 3rd year, when his sons are just a little bit older now, in their mid-teens, he was getting the feeling that he was being watched now. He always felt a set of eyes on his back. Always thought that there was some presence. And he didn't specify. Again, the guy knows really nothing of Bigfoot outside of maybe the average person. Not a researcher, didn't care anything about Bigfoot. But he said, I thought it was odd. He thought that maybe it was these hunters, right, that were just maybe wanted to scare him off of his property. But there was nothing threatening, nothing scared him, but he just felt like there was a presence out there. So he attributed this to perhaps a group of hunters that wanted to buy him out. He never told anybody this because he didn't want to spook his family. So he went on about his business, and for the rest of the summer, they did their thing. So I was starting about the 4th year, 2020. He gets that feeling again, but he says that this time the feeling is more intense. Mm-hmm. He knows there's something around. Can't put his finger on it. So one night, I guess the second day of their first outing this summer camping, his son, now about 19 or 20, said, "Hey, Dad, come here for a minute." And the dad says, "Yeah, what's going on?" He goes, "I, I don't know about you, and maybe I'm, overthinking things, but I'm getting the feeling that somebody's watching us." The father, Jim, is like, looks at his son, and he is like, "Really? When did this start?" Because for Jim it was like last year, but never said nothing. Now this year he's feeling it. Now the son brings it up to him, and the son tells his dad, "Dad, I've been having that feeling ever since we got the property." And this is well before Jim even sensed it. His son always felt this way. So his dad thought that was really, he found that really odd, strange, and worrisome. So they went off into the trails. Now, I'm going to say this first during the story. They always did the same old, same old. They always hiked the same trails. They fished the same stream. They always camped within 50 yards of their camp spot. So they never really ventured out. They've got 5 acres, mind you, but they were comfortable doing what they were doing, just knew that they had other acreage to explore, which they never really got into. So this time they went off on a familiar trail, and then they veered off on another trail that they had never really traveled down, and they're traveling the trail. And then they decide to go off trail to get a little more adventuresome. So they get off trail a little bit, and I guess they had to hack through a little bit of brush, make a little clearing, and then this clearing opened up now to another part of the woods that they'd never seen before. So as you're walking in, Jim says they're maybe about 50 yards off this off-beaten trail where you notice a tree that was uprooted. It was pulled right out of the ground, laying there, and says, "Wow." And Jim's thinking a tornado probably could not have done that because it was totally pulled right out of the ground, right? So they explore a little further, as he's telling me, and he found 2 more trees, you guys, that also were uprooted, but they were put up in the shape of an X formation, right? That we always hear about. Again, this person, not a Bigfooter, he's just telling the story. What he found out, this is back during these experiences back when, between 2016 and 21, but this is 2020 where all starts to unfold. So now all of a sudden, after they see this X formation, they're exploring about it, checking it out. Then all of a sudden, they both, the father and the one son that they're with, they start getting this really strange feeling that there's something out there watching them. They both looked at each other and they knew they read each other's mind, like, yeah, there's something out there. So they're looking, and sure enough, now you guys gotta remember too, this is crazy because it's daytime. Into like the woods from like a wood line and back of this X structure, and they see this big shadowy figure. And as John writes, he says if it wasn't 12 feet tall, it wasn't any size. So they're staring at this structure, this big figure, 12 foot tall. He says about a 4 foot in diameter, and it's standing there now. It's probably 3 feet in from the tree line, but they can see a distinct figure. And prior to then, it starts walking parallel to the forest line. And he says, "And Rob, and now these trees are swaying back and forth, like they're being moved." And he says in the story, reminded him of like the movie King Kong. Remember King Kong ran through the jungle, and when you watch the movie, you see just all the trees, swaying back and forth. He says, "Man, this thing reminded me of that." He goes, "No, I know it ain't no King Kong. It's not an ape. It's not a gorilla. He says, for Christ's sakes, it's the middle of Michigan. We're in Michigan. There's no such animal, right?" So he sees this, and it was violent. These trees were violent, and then It turns around, comes back, and again is standing there, the big shadow staring in at them, immense. And then all of a sudden, he sees a set of eyes flicker, like a couple blinks, and they see these. He says, "Rob, they were like yellowish, greenish, like neon colored eyes that were like changing colors back and forth, just looking." And then again, father and son are they're scared. They don't know what this is. They know it's something. And this figure turns around, walks back into the forest, lets out this immense roar. He said it was a roar. Again, back with the trees, swaying back and forth, swaying back and forth. And then it finally kind of dissipated and was gone. So the son and the father kind of like, what in the world is this? And so on and so forth. So they get get it together, so to speak, and then they head back to their campsite. So they get to the campsite, and the wife and the other two boys are coming running toward the husband and the other son, asking, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" And they're like, "Well, yeah, we're fine." And she says, "Did you hear that thunder in the back?" You know, and the man, the dad, is like, "Holy cow! I didn't realize it was that loud. Knew it was loud, but." He says there were maybe a couple good 2-3 miles or further from camp, and the wife heard it, and she says when I heard that thunder, she says, "Boy, it was strange because I looked up into the sky, and it was just a beautiful. There was not a cloud in sight." And then so after settling in at the camp, Jim and Jim's son went to tell the mom, the wife, and the other two boys what they encountered. Didn't know what it was or didn't know how to explain it. So that's kind of like what he left me. That's all he said. But at the end of this particular story, which again I find sad, and text, I'm sure you will, KRISTA, probably as well. He goes, "Yeah," and he says, "Rob, how about we were kind of had those hunters every year want us to sell our property?" He goes, "Yeah, that following summer 21, I sold it." And he says he hadn't gone back out, which I left it as I sent the guy a response back. Like, that's too bad. I mean, that I know people this has happened to, and I guess you're another block on the old the stump, right, Tex? We hear about so many people that have an encounter, and in my opinion, this wasn't. I guess I'm thinking about mine. This wasn't enough for me, probably not to go back to the woods. Although, if you never knew anything about these things, like we always talk about, the sheer roar, the 12-foot shadow, the weird eyes. I guess the average person would probably be scared to go in the woods, I'm guessing. But that's how the story ends. He's done. He sold it, which I think is a shame. And I think for sure, if you break this down, because I know there are Bigfoot in my state. I've heard about them in Clare. I've heard about them in Yale, Wexford. They're all over.
Cadillac.
Cadillac, for sure, Cadillac, which is Wexford County. So, yeah, I think he had a Bigfoot encounter, even though he didn't really specify. Thank you, Jennifer. Didn't specify Bigfoot, but I'm guessing that's if I'm breaking this story down, probably was a Bigfoot. That's
well, I think if it hadn't been anything, I think you would have. If it was a dog man, I think he would have went more into, other things about it. I would think.
I would think so too, and really the description that I get, and that's why when I get these encounter stories, you guys, they're all not like scary. It growled or roared. You've seen a ferocious beast track them down, because if you think about most encounter stories that are allegedly true, are like this one. Saw a big shadow, and hell, half the time they don't show themselves. If you're fortunate enough to see one, I guess good for you. But didn't really say what it was. It reminded him of King Kong with the swaying of the trees and shadow, 12 foot tall, 4 foot wide. Knew it wasn't a human. Knew it was no ape. So to me, yeah, I mean that's a lot of the descriptions we get, and so not really terrifying. But if the family, that son and that father, they were terrified when they saw that, I'm sure.
Well, and I can relate to the feeling of being watched too, because my first encounter, in 2019. That's what it was that feeling of being watched with Kathy and I. So I can wholeheartedly relate to that. And that's scary.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me
yeah,
too.
I think we all can relate to that, no matter what your encounter was.
Right?
And, go ahead.
Well, and I don't. It's funny. Thank you, JoJo.
Thank you.
It's funny that you hear so many hunters and people that just go camping and stuff say the exact same thing. They felt so uneasy, some of them, that they left. Because they felt something was watching them, but they don't ever want to say what they that and there again it goes right back to, well, there might have been a big cat in the area, because when and Pops can attest to this. That is that's not an unknown phenomenon when there is big cats or even bears in the area. You do feel like you're being watched. But why? Because you're being hunted.
Yep. Totally.
But even when it's another human watching you, we have that spidey sense that goes, there's a reason that they teach you when you're surveilling somebody not to directly look at the back of their head, because they will get that feeling
Yeah.
that they're being watched.
Yeah. Why do you think that like the son, he had that feeling of being watched, prior years before the dad did? Why do you think that is? And then the dad just, a couple of years later gets that feeling.
Well, some people just pick up on it better than others.
Yeah.
I don't think it's any different. I mean, I may be wrong, but I really don't think it's any different than, say, some people being more sensitive than the others.
Yeah, could be.
In the paranormal field, I really don't.
I do think it's kind of. I'm thinking like the first 2 years, right, KRISTA? He didn't have any of that sense of being watched. He was just doing the same for 2 years. Year 3. Now, year 3 is kind of explaining it away, like he thought maybe it was the hunters that are always after him to sell his property.
Right.
But then he mentioned they didn't outwardly threaten him. It was just that presence. And if you collect your thoughts, if somebody wants to spook you off your property, they're going to do more than just watch you. They might act like there's, something more nefarious lurking about their campsite or on their property. What do you think?
Well, they may, if somebody wants to spook you off their property, that they may do things that a Bigfoot would do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is a great point. It would be let's put the shoe on the other foot. Let's say this was a big old hoax by some hunters. I'm not good at hoaxing. I never thought about hoaxing, but how would you cast a big image, 12 foot, 4 foot? Then you got to test for the loud roar. It could have been, and I know you can do that with maybe an amplified speaker, then the eye shine. I mean, I tell you what, to pull something off like that, I mean, if the way he described it, that was pretty intense, right? And that would take a lot of thought, and you'd have to be a pretty smart group of people to pull that off, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
So
I don't believe it was a hoax.
I think that's just too involved,
Yeah.
I think a bunch of guys maybe running through your camp at night, howling and yelling and screaming might be something.
Even some fake footprints, that type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, which we've heard about that before. And the guy didn't mention anything about footprints. I mean, not that he saw them. And again, here's a man that wasn't a hunter. He started up fishing because his sons liked to fish, wanted to learn, but never mentioned footprints. And I think it was pretty cool how he mentioned that he knew nothing about Bigfoot. And as he's explaining, obviously he knows about it now, but during what was going on with his experiences, things we've all heard all the time, uprooted trees, the X structures. I mean, wherever you stand with the X structures. I know Texas kind of flip a coin with it, but
Well, I'm not saying they don't do it. I think they do it. It's just I don't think they. I think a lot of these people are
Wanting to see something.
yeah, I think I don't think there's much out there as they think there is.
yeah.
With me, it has to be really, really convincing. I mean,
Mhm.
I have to make sure, if the trees come from a different area and that type of thing. And
Or the roots are sitting up in the air and yeah.
yeah, something that's humanly basically impossible without, tools or lifting devices or something, because it's like when even tree breaks. I mean, the only tree break I've ever seen that I thought was blatantly that I couldn't explain anything else. It was a twist, and it was the dadgum thing was this big around, and it was a live oak tree, and it had been twisted until it just exploded, and it looked like where how when we were little kids in elementary school, you made those lanterns out of construction paper.
Yeah,
That's what the tree looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it was about 3 feet off the ground, and we looked. I mean, we looked all over the place. We didn't find any footprints. We didn't find any, tool marks. We didn't find any vehicle marks. Anything, and there was soft ground there. That's what was crazy, But and so if I automatically went, okay, well, it was a dust devil, okay, because dust devils are nothing but what you have F1s, F2s, F3s, tornadoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dust devils are nothing but F-zeros. That's all they are. And my mom had one pick up a chicken and pluck it in the front yard one time. These things are capable of this stuff, and they'll break small trees. And so I was trying to look and see if that was possibly what it was. But the thing about it is, all around this tree, there were little saplings that were dead that weren't touched.
Right.
So if it had been something like that, there would have been those laying on the ground. There would have been, there've been other breaks in the area, and this was in the middle of the freaking bottoms down there in Brown Springs in the floodplain.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't floodwater damage. I mean, the thing had been twisted. There was, because when those waters come up out of the Red River, you can walk through the bottoms and you can see where the water line was, because that red clay stains the trees. Where the water line was, and there was none of that. And the tree was still alive. It was recent. I mean, it was still bleeding. That's how recent it was, So but a lot of these structures and everything, I think, like you said, KRISTA, I think people want it to be so bad, and I don't fault them for that. I really don't. I mean, it's easy to get wrapped up in this stuff when you're out there looking at it. Yeah. It really is.
Yeah, I could see that.
I could also see myself as a novice, and I know about Bigfoot. I'm gung ho, especially like if I was a lot younger. Everything that was 6 foot or above that was a fresh break. Hey man, it's a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I mean, as a kid, you probably would. I mean, I know. I'll admit, I know I would.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing, and here's the thing too, it's got to be significant. Again, kind of going back what you guys said, if you see a 20 feet high X uprooted, that's something, like you said, Tex, man, no one did that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people fall for this natural debris, garbage, tree fall, or falling from dead trees. Because they can form some cool looking huts that you would think a person made, but all it is piled up.
Oh yeah.
Now, if you found one though that was interwoven and took time to be
Right,
put
right.
together, now we're talking. It's a whole different story here.
Like Bear County Bigfoot has, Rod.
Yes.
He has
Right.
incredible tree structures. Do I think those are legit? Absolutely, 100%. What he showed.
Yeah, when they're pretty intricate. I mean, it's and you can't see where the trees came from if they fell, naturally. That's the kind of stuff you have to look for. Even and honestly, it's like it's no different than paranormal investigation. When you go out there in the field, you have to be your own worst skeptic, and that's what I respect about you and Brandy so much. It's really hard to convince y'all that you caught something. But it's like when we was up in the cemetery and we found there was this cedar tree that had all the limbs off of one side stripped from about 15 feet up, all just one side, and they weren't cut off, they were ripped off, and they were all piled at the bottom, and something had been laying on these limbs. I don't know what else to would account for that.
I mean, that would make me sit back and go, then I'd have to think about it, like really look at it and like watch it, look at it and think about it. And,
But then like that recent tree that I found just a couple of days ago down there that was, pushed or fell over or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go out on a limb and say, I think that's what it was. I think it was Bigfoot because it wasn't an odd spot, but we have had storms in the area.
Right.
That's different.
Yeah.
I can't.
No, I gotcha. I get it.
I have to write that off. It was interesting find, but it was no more interesting than the doll tied to the tree, so.
Right. We yesterday, I haven't really told many people this, very few people know this, but we closed yesterday. We bought a weekender property, and it's 7 acres and just a place to go on the weekends. It actually connects to my stepson's property where our horses are. And so I'm going to get some cameras and put out there, because nobody's going to be there through the week, only on weekends, and just kind of let's roll. And it's in Franklin County, Missouri, which, there's a lot of sightings around that area. So, So,
I strongly suggest you get PRIs.
PRIs, I'm going to write that.
PIRs, I'm sorry, PIRs.
PRs.
Yeah. And what that is, it's passive infrared is what it is. It senses infrared instead of emits infrared for the beam to get broken, and you'll get rid of a lot of wind blowing stuff, and it's setting the camera up. So and plus you're not emitting something they can possibly see. So.
When my husband come home and hit me up about it, I'm like, my mind went straight to Bigfoot, and I'm like, there's nobody around it on 3 sides, I was like, oh, hell yeah. Let's see what the payments be. So we closed on it yesterday morning.
Oh, that's congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Yep. So
you're going to have, I think, a compound there now. You're going to have the Bigfoot compound, right? Thanks, Catherine.
Yep.
We've all got our bug out location now. We're all going to run to KRISTA's.
Yeah. Well, good old Missouri, they got stuff going on in Missouri just as much as Michigan and, of course, Texas over there in Texas.
We all live in active states.
And then again, though, you guys, let's just think about it. I think Bigfoot or cryptids are in any state, most all the states to some extent, right? Maybe some more than others.
There's been reports in every state, except
maybe Hawaii,
and they got little people.
I think I'd be more scared of the little people, man. They can do some damage to you.
Right, they do too. Yeah.
I've heard stories about the little people getting up underneath people's campers and pulling out all the wiring and just tormenting the trailer to no end, just tearing it all apart,
Oh, that's scary.
biting people on their ankles when they walk out the back there of the trailer because they're underneath the step and they grab you, Krista. So you got to look out for that now.
Yeah, thanks.
You're
That sounds
absolutely
like
welcome.
fucking Gremlins or the movie Critters
Yeah,
or
my
something.
lord. Yeah, you know.
Because literally 3 sides of this place is all woods.
Yeah. And it's not really the little people per se. It's what's the other one, Tex? The other one with the that looks like a porcupine.
Puckwudgie.
Puckwudgie. Yes, that's no. But the
Yep,
little people run around in animal pelts, which is
right.
still freaky. They're like little hunters.
Yep. Hey, can I answer a question real quick?
Yeah.
Prospecting USA says, "KRISTA, have you had your horse's hair braided?" So I'm one that honestly, and I know a lot of people will argue with me. I personally don't believe that Bigfoot braid horses' hair, and I will tell you why. I've had horses my whole entire life, and all of my horses, well, a horse in general, and Tex, and you're familiar with horses. Horses are quiet animals. Anything weird or not human, even a deer or anything like that, they're snorting at, their hair's sticking up. You can read a horse and you can tell something weird is off in the area. And I just don't believe that any of my horses, past or present, would allow a Sasquatch to come up and braid its mane and tail.
Yeah.
I have had my horses' manes twisted. However, I've watched them roll.
Yeah, witch knots.
Them rub on trees and things like that. So that is my opinion. I know a lot of people believe differently, but I just know my horses.
I would have to, for me to buy that, I would have to see the horse one day and then see the horse the next day, and it happened. And it would have to be an intricate braid. It wouldn't just a twit. No, they're just witch knots. And folks, what we're calling witch knots are, like she said, they're caused by horses rolling, rubbing against trees, a high wind. I mean, it just happens. Happens.
And some horses do it worse than others too, because like one of my horses, her mane is so thick, her mane and tail is, and it almost imparts like curl on its own, so where that could be what I have seen of people, saying that it's braided hair by a Sasquatch. It's exactly what my horse's hair looks like. And, I just know my horses. So not that I'm not going to, people say, that does happen. I'm not. It's just for me personally and my own personal horses I've had. None of mine would let a Sasquatch get close.
I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not going to say it's impossible. I'm with you, Krista, but I'm damn sure going to say it's improbable.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's where I'm at with it. It would take a lot of convincing for me to say, okay, yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta ask you a question, Krista.
Yeah.
I don't know that you ever brought this question up to me either. You might have, and I might have forgotten. The encounter in Indiana, one of the big state park where I've got many people, after I put out the video, it's actually in my book, where a lot of people, it was Oak Park, Indiana State Forest, with a lot of dogman encounters. And this was a story where the family was paid hush money for not saying anything that had happened. And that, if you remember the story, the horses were clawed in the rear quarter. Okay, to bring up the speeding, remember now what I'm talking about. So, yeah. So I got many people told me they've heard about that. They've heard about horses. Not the first time it happened to horses, not the first time they've seen dogman, and not the first time the government, all these factors now paid people off. But I got to ask you though, and they seen an alleged dogman run out of the back of the trailer where the horses were up for the night. And I remember you had a question or two, but I've got to ask you. Horses, mammoth animals, strong animals. It seems odd to me that they didn't break free from the trailer. I think would they stay in their.
I by that one, on if I remember correctly, I think that those horses were actually, they weren't tied onto the outside of the trailer. I think these people had their horses on the inside.
They were on the inside. Yes, they
on
were
the inside. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they couldn't go anywhere.
Thanks, dude.
They're stuck, you know?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, you want to see some helpless horses. I was me and my brother-in-law Richard here, my co-host, we were headed up to Possum Kingdom to go fishing, and we were trying to beat an ice storm, which is stupid, but we were trying to beat an ice storm. We figured once we get up there, we camp through it because it wasn't supposed to last more than a couple of days, but we didn't beat it. Okay, and we were between Weatherford and Mineral Wells, and the ice hit. Well, there was a truck pulling a horse trailer in front of us, and it flipped over in the median. Okay, there was 2 horses in it, and it laid on its side. Now, you want to talk about helpless horses? You get them on their side in the trailer, they can't do nothing but kick.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more to the story, but yeah, it was. You know, we're trying to pull the people out, we're trying to pull the horses out, make sure we're not injured.
Made it.
No, yeah, the horses were fine.
Awesome.
The horses were fine. I mean, they don't get me wrong; they had some bumps, bruises, and some cuts, but nothing major. No broken legs or nothing like that. We didn't have to put him. We didn't have to put him down or anything like that. So, but it was not easy getting those horses out of that trailer.
Oh, it's not. And if a horse gets down, like and they get stuck in a trailer, or
Yeah.
you know, I've seen that happen too. That's bad.
They're-
Or even like a horse gets stuck, you know, in a fence.
Yeah, yeah, it's bad because they'll panic and they just make things worse.
They freak.
Yeah.
A horse
Yeah.
freaks.
Same thing. Well, any animal. Same thing with a deer, a cat. You know,
Yeah.
cattle. They do the same thing, and they just tangle themselves up worse. You know, I mean, it's not uncommon, really, for deer to lock antlers and die.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we were going up to me and a buddy of mine. I guess I was about 17. No, I wasn't driving yet, so I was 15. And he was driving. He was 16. And we were going up to him and his buddy, they were team roping partners, and I was bulldogging. So I would run the steers for them, and then they would run the steers for me. And we were going up to a sheriff posse arena that one of his buddy's dad was a member of, and we could use. And the horse, we were driving a short bed step side pickup with the 2-horse trailer on the back. The horse has got a little rowdy, and that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
He lost control of the truck. We spun out. The trailer popped off of the hitch and went end over end. And I remember looking in the rearview mirror on my side and seeing the horses go through the top of the trailer and down in the creek.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
And both the horses made it, believe it or not.
Wow.
Now they had some pretty good cuts on them,
Sure.
but they were able to stitch them up. And, you know, these were roping horses and well, a roping horse and a dogging horse. But, you know, luckily, you know, they just, because I remember seeing his horse rolled up in a ball, just rolling down in the creek, you know, and it was, you know, and then the trailer, of course, we slid around and the trailer popped off and the truck slid around and went up on 2 wheels and then set back down. But yeah, it's, so I've seen horses, you know, in situations like that several times.
Yeah.
You know, I've had to cut them out of fences and stuff like that. And, you know, and I just hate to see them. I would almost see them. I'd almost rather see a horse bust a barbed wire fence than I would get tangled up in the game wire. Some people call it hog wire, because they'll bust a leg and that stuff, man.
Yeah. JoJo says, who's braiding them then? They're not. I mean, a horse can roll and it will look like it's braided. I've got one horse does it all the time. All the time.
Now I will say this. When I talk about my dogman encounter, one of the things I talk about is hearing from all over, ranches, and farms and stuff, that you would get when it really happened, when a mare would drop a foal, or a mama cow would drop a calf, and we would hear reports of something got a hold of the foal, or something got a hold of the calf, or even the mama, because they're vulnerable,
Yeah.
And that's one of the some of the reports that we had around the area, and it was always getting blamed on big cats or pack of wild dogs. Bless you.
Thank you.
And so does that kind of stuff happen? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You hear the mares that have claw marks on their hindquarters and stuff like that. And the reason they have a lot of times the reason they have them on their hindquarters, because that's their main line of defense. They'll spin around and kick the snot out of something.
Absolutely, they will. Yep.
Thank you, Ginger.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Ginger.
Did you bring Mary Ann with you?
Well, Jojo asked, what if the horses were put in some sort of trance beforehand? Who knows? I mean, that could be possible.
Well, we hear about,
like we said, it's not impossible. It's just it would take. I mean, me and KRISTA being horse people, it would take a lot to convince us that something would happen this way. Because horses are very wary of anything that they're not used to. There's a reason that back in the day, when you camped out and you had your horse, you tied your horse close, because that was your alarm system.
That's right.
And
when you're riding, if you might not see a deer pop out, but I'll tell you what, you watch your horse's ears and the way it's looking.
Yeah.
Watch that; they'll tell you, and then you'll see a deer, or you'll see a raccoon, or even a snake. I mean, that's
what I was fixing to say. A snake, they'll spook a horse.
Yep.
It kind of reminds me, Tex and KRISTA. We had a guest on last year, horseback riding through Idaho. Horseback riding Idaho. Now, this person is into Bigfoot and Dogman, have them on her property. Okay, seen them, and was on the trail riding a horse with her husband, a group of people, maybe 4 or 5 people. But she sensed that there was something cryptid in the area. I can't remember the story. It was I think it was a Bigfoot, where she knows, because she says she had been hit with infrasound more than once in her lifetime and got that feeling of, for her, unlike what happened to me, got nauseated, dizzy, drowsy, almost want to fall asleep. And so she is going through the trail, and this had happened to her. She knows she got hit with some infrasound. And she also made mention that her horse got very strange. Not that it was spooked so much, but that it too itself became lethargic. It lost its trot. It kind of slowed down, and it got really just lethargic.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, but a horse is such a big animal. And to me, infrasound ain't, I mean, I'm not an expert, of course. What I got hit with probably wasn't even infrasound. But what I'm saying is this: maybe it can dull a source's senses where they can get to them. Now, I believe everything you say, Chris. You know about horses, but I'm just saying in general, like where the dog, this dog man got this quarter hind in Indiana there, and a couple other accounts. And I can see where being in the trailer, they're condensed and they're confined and they have nowhere to go. I'm wondering if that's possible for a big animal to be hit with infrasound enough where it could be taken out for several minutes. I don't know.
Absolutely. Maybe so. If we can be, then why can't they? Yeah.
I said, only because they're probably 1,200 pounds and we're what,
Yeah.
And maybe they're heavier. I would think they would. But again, there's always possibilities with all this stuff, right? We just don't know.
That's why we're all here, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's exactly why we're here. But
I thought that was interesting. I guess what I'm saying, and I can't speak for KRISTA, but what I'm saying is I would have to see more than just a horse's mane or tail just twisted together.
Yeah, and if you
For
want
me to even consider anything.
yeah. So our friend Greg Ogles put out The Legend of the Downy Booger last year. And in there, and he talks about it, they're in the woods, and there's 2 women riding horses. They didn't know these ladies. They weren't like paid actresses or anything like that. And they were filming them. Greg didn't tell the ladies why they were there, making a Bigfoot documentary. However, those 2 horses, if you watch that documentary, they definitely got spooked and startled by something. And that was 100% legit. That's what a horse does when something weird is in the area.
Yep.
That's why I believe, like when Greg was filming that, them horses tell you everything right there. There's something weird in that while he was filming. So anyway, just threw that out there.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
It's all interesting. I tell you, I can't wait to see. Has that film already been out to, or because I know he's got something else going on in the works. Correct?
So last year he put out The Legend of the Downy Booger. By Christmas, he's going to have well, it's not really part 2. I don't remember what exact name is. He told me, but I don't remember. But he is going to have a trailer of it at the Alabama Bigfoot Conference. We'll be able to see a trailer of it.
Well, I'm upset. My feelings are hurt. Ginger didn't email me.
Do what?
Oh, Texas.
Oh,
You get. I'm sure you get way more emails than I do. Ginger's a new subscriber. Yes, she has Ginger Paranormal.
Welcome, Ginger.
Welcome. And a new, and she's also a new pirate. I see. Arr. Thank you, Ginger.
Yeah, a lot of crazy stuff in our woods. And back on the topic of the infrasound, who's to say, like, JoJo might have had a good point. Like, what about like deer? Like, if a dogman's out there and they're hunting, why wouldn't they just stick them with infrasound, get them weak, and then they got a meal?
I mean, it makes sense. If they've got that ability.
Right?
I like how you just said that, Chris. Hey, they got a meal. So nonchalant, like, it's very easy.
Yeah.
Blasting with infrasound. I could have been a meal, right? But I was I don't think my Bigfoot could swim at that time. Otherwise he'd have got us.
Right? I hear you.
And I keep thinking about talking about Dogman. I can't get what that article that you read today, KRISTA. That was just fascinating. Yeah, just fascinating.
Yeah, and of course, I've never heard anything else about it. It's just kind of weird. Yep.
But not surprising.
No.
Yeah.
We did a members only show, and for those of you who are members of Blondes and Booze, I'll just give you a rough overview. But it's an encounter that's not far from me. A lady actually shot a dog man.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was an article in the paper about it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
you shared this on the members only.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wasn't home for that today. I know.
I did a members only show today on Blondes and Booze, and yeah. So if you are a member of Blondes and Booze, you can go back and watch it.
And if you're not a member, become a member and go watch it.
Yeah, pretty interesting because I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go there.
Yeah,
just be careful.
There was
ain't no sense in me going, oh, don't go.
Well, of course not, Tex.
There you go.
Since I was on the subs, we're kind of not well around all these different subjects. That's I gotta go rewatch that, by the way, because I only saw like five minutes today. But I don't know if you guys think this is odd because I'm reverting back to
you
that
think you're
Indiana.
odd, so it's okay. Go ahead.
But yeah, of course I'm odd. But I'm talking about. I think it's odd that. Now, I will say this: that Indiana dogman encounter. I can't tell you the amounts of people that have heard similar stories about the government in this part of Indiana. I'm wondering why, and these payoffs. I'm wondering how often does this go on, or do you think how often are people just making something up because they're paranoid that the government always has their hand involved in cryptids? I think to an extent they do and know what's going on, but I think there's another side of the story where they don't have a clue. And I just find it that I don't think every single person, I mean, okay, as an example, this story is so popular. Well, to me, with people contacting me and it's published on a book and on a video, how come the Indiana State Park hasn't called me? I'm wondering. Because I would think if a guy is flapping his jaws, and I talk about this story all the time about them, why, if they paid off this family, well, I talk about it probably more than they do.
Well, I mean, it's like we've publicly released some of the best freaking evidence there's been in years. I'm not talking about blurry freaking pictures, hard freaking evidence.
Yes.
I ain't got no phone calls or black SUVs or black helicopters flying around. I mean,
it seems like you always get these stories where we hear of these stories, right? And I guess maybe there's so many of the people doing this they can't get everybody.
Maybe
I don't think the government's tapped into our YouTube channel. I got some guys saying, Rob, the government watches you every day. I don't think he does.
Yeah, good for them. I hope they're subscribed. Give me a thumbs up if you're.
Yeah, give me a thumbs up on your way out the door, or while you're watching parked outside my house in your black Suburban.
I used to have a black.
Yeah, but Corey says a local rancher on the Red River said he shot at what he described as a hyena. He hit it with a 7 mag and just ran off. Are we sure he hit it? I mean, come on, a 7 mag, that animal that size. And it just ran off. I don't know.
That's scary. Yep.
Yeah.
That's
well,
scary.
Keith is another guy. He lives by me too, Oakland County, not too far away. Dog man near him didn't get the memo on being aggressive. And he goes on to say the things he's seen, left scratching your head. And I got to tell you, Keith, Oakland County, I know another person from Oakland County, dog man, were running on the roof of her apartment building. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get her on. She's coming on the show, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. Oakland County, that's another. In Oakland County, you wouldn't think that either because it's one of the richest counties. It's the richest county in Michigan. But there's a lot of wooded area around there, too. A lot of land, a lot of rivers, a lot of streams, but a lot of development as well. And I just thought it was odd that Oakland County had a rash of Bigfoot, mostly dogmen, I hear. And it's just, these things go everywhere, you guys. It's not just, you don't have to be right in the middle of the forest now and again in these times,
Right.
Well, I mean, we and we're hearing more and more reports of, what some people are calling the urban Bigfoot, urban dogman, because they are showing up in these areas. I mean, Jason's got a story that was, peeking over a fence and, the middle of a suburban neighborhood, So,
Well, there's been one down at the St. Louis Arch, and that's as populated as you can get.
right.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I heard something you were saying about the arches. What was the story about the arch?
Supposedly there was a dog man sighted down there going through a dumpster down there at the St. Louis Arch.
Never been there, and that's the middle of walking.
St. Louis.
Yeah.
People, it's tourist. I mean, there's people all over there. It's down there where it's called Laclede's Landing, and it's a lot of different restaurants and bars, and it's very well populated. So,
I mean, I suppose it doesn't surprise me when we've heard of Bigfoot and Dogman running through Detroit in the inner city parts, but I always have an alibi for that. It's because half of that part of Detroit are all abandoned homes now, and most of them back up to the Detroit River that leads right to the forest, or not even the forest around here, woodlands, right? So, which leads to other avenues of our state. So
yeah.
Charles Center says the Black Panther is supposed to be seen in Lexington, Kentucky. I'm going to say this, and this is from talking to Chester. They're seeing an increase in black bobcats, and they're built a little different. The picture that I've seen, they have a little bit longer tail, and in certain circumstances, they can be mistaken for misidentified as Black Panthers. I'm not saying Black Panthers don't exist because my sister saw one last year on our old family place up there, right over there where I saw my dog man. So, and I know several credible people that have seen one in that area, and so yeah, they're out there. But there is y'all. I want y'all to understand there is a rise in population of these black bobcat too.
And that's interesting in itself too.
Yeah, it is.
It's the Black Panthers, black bobcats too.
Yep.
Absolutely. I was just looking that story that you and I did today, Tex, and I looked up exactly where this park is.
Right.
And it's through Quiver River State Park, which is a big, there's a lot of camping and, things like that. There's horse trails through there, and it's at the northern edge of it, which I find interesting. So anyway, I didn't realize it actually touched Quiver River State Park, and I've been there a lot. So it's crazy stuff. Black cats, Black Panthers, black bobcats.
And I don't know what the deal. I mean, that is some kind of. I don't want to call it a birth defect. It's not a birth defect. It's just a birth effect. I mean.
But maybe there's I don't know. A lot of things get changed because they, like the hybrids, they breed.
Yeah.
There's a lot of I get maybe every state gets this about the Black Panther.
Yeah.
Once a year here where I live.
Yeah, it was, Corey.
Once a year, every year, right around actually this time, and I'm surprised there hasn't been a video, but it's always kind of the same video, kind of grainy. It's always on our local news. And the Black Panther is once again been spotted in northern Oakland County or eastern Wayne County. It's always in all the counties. One, the only Black Panther we have, and he comes out middle of spring.
Yeah. But
it's been captured on some game trails, right? Cam trails or whatever you want to call it. Whether it's allegedly from Michigan, who knows? But it seems like every state comes up with some mystery. That can never be solved.
Yeah, I think it's all the same because, every state has the Black Panthers, and yeah.
I've got several black cats in my backyard because I tell you where I live, Cat City, stray cat city, and I live in an okay area. I mean, everyone takes care of their houses. I don't know where they come from.
Yeah. Keith,
and they're all attracted to my yard.
Keith from 1675 says, "Thanks, Tex. I have thoughts on eye color and behavior. I'd be interested in hearing that."
What did he say?
You guys would too. He said, "I have thoughts on eye color and behavior."
I'd like to hear him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Keith is from Michigan. We'll have to hook up with him.
Mm-hmm.
Get them together.
Yeah. Some good comments.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good show tonight. Mm-hmm. I think I'm probably called a little early today because I got a lot of things going on tomorrow and so on and so forth. But I got to thank everybody for coming on. And don't forget, since we have some newer subscribers, subscribe to also the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast, Texas Front Porch, of course, found on YouTube. And don't forget, you guys, we got to keep promoting this. We want to get these ticket sales up just a tad. We got the Alabama Bigfoot Conference, June 7th and 8th. That's right. Great speaker lineup. Tex, of course, the master of ceremonies. Bart Nully, Daryl Denton, Blondes and Booze, Jason McLean, Greg Ogles, Martin Groves, BMR. $30 online, 35 at the door. We're having a meet and greet June 7th at the Western Steak Chop Shop.
Yes.
Yes.
Western Sizzling.
I just can't say that because it reminds me of Sizzlers. Sizzler is one of the worst steakhouses. I don't even call it a steakhouse. It's like the McDonald's of fast food steak. You guys know what I'm talking about? You ever hear of Sizzlers?
No.
Yeah.
Or Steak and Shake. Steak and Shake, another one.
I like Steak and Shake.
I like the shake. I like the shakes.
Burger joint. I mean,
it's a bad burger, but I'm not going there to get a steak. I'm going to
no
steakhouse somewhere.
No. Also, let everybody know to keep Brandy and her family in your prayers. She had a family emergency, and everybody just kind of keep her and her family in your thoughts and prayers. I know would appreciate it. I'm
glad you brought that up because I didn't really know if I should make it public with that. But yeah, prayers. That's why I'm kind of down today because it kind of reminds me of. I told you guys backstage. I'll be honest with my mom. Just when our folks get older is when I tend to worry and.
Yeah.
So. Hey, thank you, Maggie. Yeah, 6 months. Maggie's a member for 6 months. Thank you so much, Maggie. That's great.
That is awesome. So here's a picture that Corey sent me of a black and it. We were wondering what it was. I talked to Chester and some other people, and it's one of those black bobcats.
Pixie Laura, 5 months.
Oh, I gotta make this big.
Yeah, make that. Yeah.
See, I mean, you can easily mistake that.
For a bear, maybe. Well, it's got a big tail. Bears don't have.
Yeah, see, and that's what I was telling you. It's got a longer tail than a regular bobcat would, and it's turned, so it kind of looks like it could be a long tail, but it's not. That's a black bobcat.
Interesting.
That is not.
That is definitely not.
No.
That is a picture that I took from the trip to the zoo the other day.
I like how his legs just casually hung over the other one, or is that his tail?
Kind of hanging out.
He's just like checking it out.
Hanging.
He's actually, there's his tail way at the bottom.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, Tex, is this my best side?
Yeah.
I'm going to show you a little leg on this one.
Yeah.
That was great. That was it was a fun show. Thanks for saying that, mentioning that. Somebody, hey, Mark, thanks for that. We also got to thank Jennifer, JoJo, Catherine Gay, Super Chats, and of course, Maggie Ginger, new member. Maggie was 6-month member. Pixie Laura, 5-month member. And there's a couple start questions. Oh, KRISTA, you got them all.
I think I did.
You did, which is awesome. And again, if you're new here, please subscribe to our shows across the board. We got a good lineup for next week, I think. Really briefly, I know that today's Saturday, of course, Sunday morning now. I got Josh Turner on Tuesday night talking Inner Earth, and then I got Ron Moorhead with you and I text Thursday. So that's a good week for us.
We got the Eye of Jupiter will be on with me Monday.
The Eye of Jupiter.
And I've got a pretty good lineup this week too.
Yeah, you did. That's why I brought it up. I think we all got some solid stuff going on this week.
Yeah. The 13th, y'all, you do not want to miss this show. The 13th on the porch. I'm having the head librarian from the Apache Reservation in New Mexico on. And she's also the one that keeps all the records of all the Bigfoot, Dogman stuff encounters from the reservation. That's who they go to.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're having her on, and it's I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That's the 13th.
Yeah. Yep. Ron is on for brunch.
Yes.
Yep.
I like Ron. Yeah, we're talking about his new book he just published. It's available, I think, last month. I was talking about the Quantum Bigfoot book that I got. That's probably the best Bigfoot, one of the best I've read. So I am excited to talk to him about his new book that he just got out there.
He's a super nice guy too. We were able to hang out with him.
Yeah.
We just hung out with him just in March. Brandy and I did.
Yep. I saw him on Alaskan Killer Bigfoot.
Yep.
Yeah, they helicoptered him in. That was so cool.
Yeah, him and Adam Davies.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, as far as that show goes, I mean, I like it's very entertaining. And I will say this about Alaska, because KRISTA, we had a couple of cool people from Alaska on text. You did too. There's stuff going on in Alaska. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Alaska's a crazy state with.
I still want to go up there and stay a couple of days in that Port
Lock. Yeah. I've got a couple shirts sent to me from a guy that lives in Alaska. One that says, "Ask me about Portlock." So I wore that shirt the other day.
That's cool.
I was at 7-Eleven. A guy goes, "Hey, okay, what is Portlock?" I said, Bigfoot country.
Mm-hmm.
So I dropped him my channel name and moved on.
There you go. Whatever works.
Yeah, I got my stickers on all the local gas stations, which, by the way, Tex, we'll talk later about the stickers, because the ones I'll talk to you later.
Says Adam Davies is a great person. He is.
He's a good dude.
He is awesome.
Yeah.
I made it into his new book he's writing. So, yeah.
Oh, for sure. You make sure you highlight that when Tex gets the book. He's gonna take his highlighter and
right.
Yeah, here's my quote. This is from Tex.
Thank you, Keith.
Yeah.
Thank you, Keith, for that. Yeah, subscribe to the girls as well. They're great. They have great shows. All the shows are great. We have a great chat room and such. So, but yeah, so thank you to everybody. Thanks for the support, the love. Don't forget about the conference. Don't forget next week. Tune in to all the shows. Great shows all next week.
Mm-hmm.
So, cut it just a tad early by about 9 minutes. But hey, you know what? It was a great show. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to Tex. Thank you to KRISTA. And with that being said, as always, we'll see you on the flip side.
Good night.